Hi, I'm Mary, a beginner figure skater and a former competitive dancer, and today we're going to talk about something slightly different. We all know that figure skating is one of the sports in Russia and has many fans in that country. However, many Russian figure skating fans consider it appropriate to bully Ukrainian figure skaters, and today we'll cover the cases of kyrylo marsak. In case you don't know, kyrylo marsak is one of very few Ukraine's representatives in men's singles who placed 19th at the 2026 Winter Olympics. Unlike some randos in the comment section, I am not an ISU judge and I'm not qualified to analyze what mistakes those figure skaters had made in their programs, and what we'll be doing today is scrolling a bit down the comment section on kyrylo marsak's Instagram, trying to find out what's going on. Let's start with the comments written with high intellectual effort. Let's look at this one for a moment. This commenter refers to numerous Kyrylo's interviews where he'd been asked why he'd placed so low at the long program. He'd explained that he'd succumbed under pressure. Now hang on, as a Ukrainian I am not going to justify him or attack him or whatever. Let's take a look at what Cambridge Dictionary has to say about the differences of explanation and excuse. Explanation is the details or reasons that someone gives to make something clear or easy to understand, while excuse is either, there are two definitions, a reason that you give to explain why you did something wrong, or a false reason that you give to explain why you do something. While both excuses and explanations involve giving reasons for our actions, they can be very different and can be received differently by others. The key differences are: first, the intention of an explanation is to clarify and provide context, while an excuse aims to avoid blame. Secondly, explanations involve accepting responsibility, whereas excuses aim to deflect it. Explanations are usually factual and straightforward. Excuses often have a defensive, accusatory, or evasive tone. Finally, explanations build trust and understanding because they show honesty and accountability. Excuses can damage trust and credibility as they often appear irresponsible. To not make excuses myself, let's look at what Marsak said in a comment for Suspilne Sport, a Ukrainian sports media outlet. He admits his failures and says he'll be working even harder to keep on competing. Is that an excuse? Well, I don't think so. He accepts responsibility for his own mental state and admits it's something that he has to work with. So that comment simply isn't true. The next comment addresses his father being in the military. She claims that kyrylo must be thinking that he deserves points not for his skills but for the war in Ukraine, which is bullshit. I don't think it needs further explanations. And this is where we come across the first mention of Petr Gumennik, a so-called neutral athlete whose coach openly supports Putin, and Petr himself had performed a program in a military uniform. Neutral enough for a taste, right? Wait, was there even pressure on him, as she claims? As I'd mentioned earlier, Russian figure skating has many fans, and accordingly Petr has some of the biggest fan bases, so genuinely what? Next, kyrylo says that it wasn't pleasant to compete on the same ice with a Russian. This commenter considers it very offensive. Tell me, would a Palestinian enjoy competing against an Israeli athlete? Below there's a list of Gumennik's sports achievements. But oops, it ends in 2022 while Marsak's starts in 2022. Russian ego showing itself here again. Here is what I've pretty much covered about psychological state of the athlete. Yes, kyrylo mentioned Gumennik at his interviews, but at the same rate he'd mentioned haters like these and disqualification of Vladislav Haruskevich, who was disqualified for trying to honor deceased Ukrainian athletes. Wait girl, why do you even care? Just go worship your Petr and leave kyrylo alone. By the way, Petr didn't win a medal. At this point you might be wondering what are even these haters doing here? So let me explain. Some people still consider the sports not to be political, but let me break it up to you. They are. They so are, as well as Eurovision, Oscars, and whatever international competitions you might think of. Sports are a chance for every country, yes, even your country, to establish their greatness and show its strength. It is, was, and will be this way. By attracting attention to itself, the country makes itself more liked. Might have sounded weird, but have you ever heard of exposure effect? The point of it is, the more you see something or someone, the more you like them. Same way in marketing, the more ads you see, the more familiar the company becomes. And the same in sport. The more Russians or Americans you see on the podium, the better you think of them. It works the opposite way too. An imperialist country like Russia will do everything it can to prevent the world from seeing Ukrainians on the podium. And one of the ways to achieve that is hate, which in turn leads to such situations as Kyrylo had. This video will have a part 2, but before you leave, let's look at Ilya Malin, a Team USA skater of Russian descent who was the first to land a quad axel. He was the main candidate for Olympic gold, but after numerous mistakes in his programs, he placed 8th. The reasons he gave were actually very similar to Kyrylo's. He had huge expectations looming overhead, but he received support. He still holds the title of quad god. So maybe let's stop being selective and support skaters for their hard work it took to even get to the Olympics. And maybe let's stop harassing minors, which I'll cover in part 2 of this video. The conclusions are yours to make. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for part 2.